Hi guys, I'm Torryn. Thanks for stopping by to check out this video. Today I'm going to give you some tips on angles and spacing that you can use when doing calligraphy to make it more aesthetically pleasing. So the tools I'm using today are my bullet journal, a protractor, a pencil that is just an 8B, any 2B, 4B would be fine, it just needs to be soft enough, and then a ruler and a brush pen. The one I have is the Fudenoski soft tip. I do prefer that one over the hard tip. It comes in a pack of 2. So now that we have all that stuff, let's get started. It's always a good idea to start with the basic strokes as a warm-up and a practice for your handwriting. Now I have done a full video on calligraphy and learning the basics, so I'll link to that in the description box below, but for now these are the basic strokes if you just wanted a quick outline of how to do them. So we've got the soft upstroke, the strong downstroke where you're pressing a bit firmer, then you're doing an overturn, an underturn, a compound curve, an oval, and then the ascending loop and the descending loop. So if you're doing this together with me, just start out with your pencil to get the hang of the strokes, and then we can move on to using the brush pen for those same strokes for a little bit more practice. The more times you practice these strokes, the more confident you're going to get because you're actually building up that muscle memory in your hands anyway. So yeah, if you want to do a whole page of these, then go right for it. The key point in calligraphy is all about the pressure you're using. So just remember that any stroke that's going upwards in direction needs to be soft, and then when you're coming down in direction, you want to use a firmer pressure. That's what gives you the thickness of that downstroke and thinness of that upstroke. So to display the different angles that you can use in your calligraphy, I'm going to show you a couple of words that you will very likely use your calligraphy for. It's the phrase happy birthday. So to start, I'm going to line up my page with the 4 lines, which gives you your baseline, your mean line, your ascender line, and your descender line, which is all going to be your guide for your lettering. The first one I'm going to show you is how your calligraphy would look if you kept your angles really quite vertical. Okay, so I'm starting with a lowercase h that starts on the baseline. You'll notice my pen is breaking between each of the individual strokes. So this was an ascending loop that we started at the beginning, and I'm just changing that pressure from going soft on the upstrokes and hard on the downstrokes. But you'll notice the angles of my strokes are very vertical. So that's what I'm trying to illustrate here at how the calligraphy tends to look when it's straight and vertical. I'm also giving a kind of condensed spacing for this one. I'm not leaving much of a gap in between the letters. So this is ideal if you have a small space to work with, or you just personally prefer a little bit more condensed kind of font. And now I'm just continuing that phrase out on a new bunch of lines beneath that and continuing the word birthday, using the same pressure on my strokes and then the same amount of spacing, which is quite tight between each letter. I actually found I had to focus quite a lot when doing these upright strokes. In general, you do want to focus when you're doing calligraphy. It's quite a slow process, and it's nice to just kind of zone out and really pay attention to all the strokes that you're doing with your pen. But this one in particular, I had to focus even more so on trying to get those upright angles. And now I wanted to show you what it's like if you don't have any of the guidelines there. And to be honest, this is more of a sort of like an easy, lazier approach because it's something that I do all the time in my bullet journal and I don't bother mapping out all my guidelines. But if you are working on a piece and you really want to perfect your calligraphy, I don't recommend trying without guidelines. It's not worth it because you want to see consistency and you want everything to be on the lines nice and tight. But this is just because it's what I do in my bullet journal and I'm just wanting to show you some different ideas and different representations. And now to show you an example of a more angled stroke for your calligraphy. And then to get the angle that I want to work with, I thought I would try and really perfect the angle by measuring out a 50-degree angle with my protractor. In the end, I didn't really need to use that protractor because I ended up just using my ruler to map out the line from bullet to a bullet about 5 grid spacings away. And then once you have that angle there, that is the perfect guide for your eye and your hand. So now what I love to see personally is that I am creating these letters exactly the same as I did before. But all I'm doing is turning my hand slightly around so that my upstrokes are following that sharp 50-degree angle. And you'll see such a difference in what the actual font looks like in the end. That's why I'm making this video, because I think it's just something that's not really talked about that much, that a small thing like an angle and some spacing can make such a big difference to the overall look and feel of the lettering. Now I'm just moving along to the next line down to finish off the phrase with the word birthday, following that same angle that I had above. I did another guideline to help me as well, just to keep referring back to that angle to build that consistency in how the letters look. So there you have that example of a very highly angled text with a small amount of spacing between the letters. That is my personal favorite. I love the angles, like I mentioned. I feel like it looks a lot more elegant. Now I'm going to show you the same kind of text, but without the guidelines as we did before, and just increasing that spacing a little bit as well. What's fun about calligraphy is it's all about making it your own and practicing until you find a style that works for you and that you really enjoy doing, and that looks beautiful, of course. But I just really like extending the space between the calligraphy. So I thought I'd show you another example that has a really long space in between the letters. So it just shows you how dramatic you can get. And I mean, obviously you can go even more dramatic with this. It's all up to you. It's all personal preference. But yeah, I just thought I'd show you one more example on this page before I turn over onto the next spread and work my book vertically and show you how it looks all in direct comparison between the sharp angles and the large and small spaces. So once I've marked out all my guidelines onto the page, I then went in using my pencil to write the phrase down first. And I found that this is in no way cheating. It's actually kind of being a bit more careful and deliberate with where your marks are going to go, which in turn will only make your calligraphy better because you're going to be more confident with every stroke that you put down onto the page. So once you're happy with the placement of your text, then go ahead and go over it with your brush pen. Or if you're doing faux calligraphy, just use your fine liner and thicken up all those downstrokes. So this first phrase that I'm doing is using that really upright vertical angle, and the spaces between the text are just my natural kind of tight spacing. I also turned my journal this way so that I could get the phrase all along one length of the page. It's nice to see text along one line and not stack it sometimes. Stacking text really, I think, requires a little bit of planning and prep to get it just right visually. So by having this straight across, I can just really see the angles and the spacing working instead of seeing that stacking issue. So I've marked out my spacing in this one. This one I've gone for the upright angles, but I've really elongated the spaces between the letters, and then you'll get a really obvious visual of how the two look next to each other. Already I naturally prefer these larger spacing between, but it isn't what comes natural to me. So it's something I really have to consciously work on when I'm doing my writing. I think I have a naturally more condensed kind of writing style, so to do this I really have to focus. I've just placed in my angle using that same 50-degree guide, and then I'm going straight in with my pencil to map out my text so that it fits nicely in the center of that page. As soon as I put that down, I feel like it looks so much more appealing to me personally. I love the strong angle, and I just think it looks more elegant. I love it. Okay, and so this last example, I wanted to really exaggerate the length between each letters. So I actually drew my grid lines closer together. So now they're just one grid spacing apart. So it means the font will be smaller in size, but I can elongate the spaces between it just to show you how exaggerated you can go. So you can go as long as your page or as long as the area you have to work with allows. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you liked it, and if you did, please give it a like. And if not, let me know what kind of videos you'd prefer to see in this series, what problems you're having with your calligraphy. I am happy to help in any way that I can. And if you want to learn more in the future about calligraphy, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you guys in my next video next week. Bye!